Good morning, my name's Amber. I'm a flower farmer florist from Blooms on the Hill in Budgeree, and today I thought I'd just give you a quick whip around the flower patch. Look at my hair. It has a mind of its own, it's curly. And I thought I'd it's the garden's winding down now, so it's the end of April. Today's the 27th. It's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday. It's Thursday, so this Saturday I have another market. I'd say it will be my last one for the season. So it's at Melbourne North. I'm tentatively put down for a market next weekend, which is at Yanar, but I don't think I'll make it. It's highly unlikely that the dahlias are going to be hanging on any longer. It's been very warm this week for sort of this time of the year. We've had 3 beautiful days. Today it started out really windy, but now it's sort of clouding over and it's got that feeling it's going to rain, particularly over that way. So it's supposed to, and tomorrow, and then get a bit cooler. So next week it's going to be in the mid-teens. So we're talking Celsius. So I think this will be it, and the zinnias will start to, they're still there, but I think they'll start to have enough as well. So last season I made it to the end of April. This season I think, yeah, we'll be the same. So I'll just show you what's left and what's in the ground now for spring and what's the sort of the general plan. But there's, I've actually mowed the lawn, can you tell? It looks so much better. So there's kind of grass clippings all over the beds. It's a bit hard to see anything today, but I'll show you around and what's happening. So previous video I did the sweet peas here. This one was planted ages ago, and there's another big one in there. They are coming up. It's hard to tell, of course, because everything's covered with these grass clippings, but they're coming along. They will need to be pinched out, so that's a job that has to be done. I've also got the hollyhocks are coming along as well. The ducks are pinching the back of them. I noticed yesterday they were having a bit of a feast. There are some Sweet William. That one is actually flowering. They need to be pinched out, Sweet William. So that is actually the end of a bed, and it needs to be weeded. There's more here, which will need to be pinched. And at the end of the Sweet William bed, there's cornflowers in here. So you can't, once again, it's hard to see between the weeds, but here's some cornflowers coming up. I did direct sow these. Now, I wasn't going to plant anywhere near the amount that I had last season, but there's about 1.5 meters, and that's a random dahlia. There's a little mini garden bed here next to the ducks. This is my daughter's little flower bed, so her little homeschool project. There's some ranunculus here coming up. I told her to weed, but she didn't do a very good job. And she's got some sweet peas, and she's got some snapdragons, and the rest of that bed, when it's weeded, there'll be some tulips and some daffs. So this section here was where the peonies were, and I'm going to put probably 3 garden beds running along this way. I'm thinking that tulips and daffs will go in here, I'd say. Oh, shush, Tilly. I've still got beds of zinnias going. So there's 3 just up there, and then this bigger one that will probably go through for a little bit longer. But once this cold weather comes in, I think they'll be gone. So there'll be space in there to do things as well. I've got things in trays at the moment, so that's what will probably go there. Like I've got some Orlea, which is actually germinated. There's some larkspur. There is some Ami majus, some Ami visnaga. There's some chocolate lace. So there's a few bits and pieces that are going to need space. So I'd say that that's where all that's going to end up. This bed here, that's a pathetic looking string arrangement. There was a couple of random dahlias that popped up, and there's some zinnias that just never did anything. So I think I'm going to put some peas in here. I do have some more pea netting, so some eating peas can go in this bit here. Now, next to the zinnias, middle of my flower patch, there's ranunculus in here. These ones went in first. I have weeded around here. Once again, it's a little bit tricky, but all these grass cuttings. My lawnmower doesn't have a catcher, so it just blasts grass everywhere. But these are starting to come up. So these are all going to be pink and white varieties. And then there was another lot that went in here which they are starting to come up too, as well as the weeds. But once they come up a bit bigger, it's easier to weed around them, so that'll be all right. This was a random dahlia that decided to just pop up. There's actually some achillea in here that I planted. It was looking really good, and then the grass clippings flew all over it. It's lovely and fluffy. So that's a perennial, and one actually flowered. Look at that. My poor dahlia here with its powdery mildew. But that's really sweet. Look at that. I've never grown this before, so that's going to just stay there. And I do have some more that's in seed tray, so once that gets up, we'll have to find a spot for that as well. Now there's another bed with ranunculus in it, the good Italian ones this time. So there was also some salmon ones as well as the pink and white, and there also was some orange ones. So looking forward to those. I've got some scabiosa in this end and some snapdragons. There's more snapdragons coming because I've sown some more successions of that. This bed has the status, which looks like a weed, but it's very cool. And then at that end of the bed there's some scabiosa again, different ones, and some weeds, more weeds, and some lupins, never grown lupins. They are a perennial. There's a little patch here that I'm just going to see what they do, because I've never grown them, so that's fun. Now, this is a very long bed, and this is all stock, and I did weed around here. So there's actually about 150 plants in here. I do have more coming, and then I have another succession after that sown. So they're all in trays. So I'd like to fill out this bed with stock. The very top of this bed actually has some honeywort in it, which I'm quite excited about. This bit is empty. Got to weed that. And these zinnias, well, they're not really doing much for me at the moment, so they can probably come out pretty soon. But there was asters here, and there's actually some weeds, but there's a few ranunculus left in here from last season. So for example, this fellow. So I'm going to try and weed very carefully around here, and I might get a few ranunculus, but stock should most likely take up all of this space, except for the end here where there's this honeywort. So I've never grown that, but apparently it's very good for foliage. It does have a purple flower, but I'm going to give that a go. Dahlias, of course, getting tired. These are all going to have to come up. The 2 rows here are ones that I purchased as tubers, so they'll be dug up and stored. Not all of them am I going to divide. Most of them, but not all of them. The seedlings, there's some that I'm going to keep, like this one, for example, was brilliant. So I'll divide that and try and get as many as possible. Others, there are some like that'll just get turfed, and there's some I've cut down already. There are some that I actually quite like that I might just replant the whole clump, or just keep one tuber. Like this one, for example. It's really cute, but I don't want lots and lots of it. So it's a good one for the bees too. Now next to, oh, nice big dandelion coming up there. Next to the dahlias is all this cosmos. So that's all just dying now. That's all got to come out. I still have cut off this yellow one a little bit. And you know, I actually ignored this for most of the season, but then this second half of the season I've been using it a bit. So I'm going to grow a yellow one again next season. I'm glad I had it. I'm certainly not going to have this massive row of cosmos again, because it's just too out of control. As you can tell, I've never grown it before, so I didn't know like how mental it gets. It's great, love it, but you just can't go overboard with it because you just can't keep up with it. Here I've actually started to pull out some cosmos and some weeds and things, but all this area the tractor can get into. So once the dahlias are out and all of this is out, the tractor can just come through and rotary hoe all of this. Now there's so much weeds in here now. The gomphrena is past it really. And my Rebecca, oh, crazy weeds. The Rebecca is had it too. And it's all getting swamped by weeds. The carnations, I was really going to grow lots of carnations. They're nice, but they don't really excite me. Actually, I quite like this one. But they are perennial, but I don't know if I'm going to keep them, to be honest, because they're a bit underwhelming. You're going to have to excuse all my weeds, really. This is the side of this garden bed. And there's my chrysanthemums. Look at this one. I haven't grown chrysanthemums before, so I'm really unsure of what I'm doing with them. I did take some of this one to market last weekend and it looked really good in a bouquet. I've never had a green flower, so I like that one. This one's fallen over. I've got more chrysanthemums coming. They'll arrive in September. A fabulous fellow on Facebook, his name's Mike. All the cuttings that he sent me survived. They were all fantastic. So yes, definitely going to put more chrysanthemums in. And that means it'll extend my season as well. I'll have plants, because these are obviously just flowering now, of course. Chrysanthemums are available for Mother's Day, which I think is next weekend. So that'll just drag me out a little bit longer. This is my terrified face of the amount of work that's got to be done in here. So much work. And that doesn't include the paddock. I'm just peering over the fence from my flower patch, which is over here. And I had a few garden beds here where I had the feverfew, which is a perennial, so hopefully that'll come back. I have sowed some more because I'm not too sure what this is going to do. And these calendulas, they're sort of having a really lovely second flush. I grew them because it's like calendulas, yeah, they're a cut flower. I didn't really like them because the stems are quite floppy, unless they do get better along the season. I don't know. But I didn't like how they were sticky. There's foxgloves in over there. There's a little patch. So they're a biennial. So we'll see when they decide to flower. This bit here is where I move those peonies. And there's a row of echinacea in the front. And I've got some penstemons in the corner of this, near these black tarp. You can't really see, but they're in there. Straw flowers still going strong, although the stems are a lot shorter. But they literally flowered from spring right through to now, mid-autumn. So we're going to see how they go. They're a short-lived perennial. Whether they go longer or whether they come back, I don't know. Anyone's guess, but looking forward to seeing what they do. My lovely ash tree is losing its leaves. Autumn is definitely kicked in, and I think winter's just around the corner. So lovely to see dahlias that are still going. This one's cornflake, although it doesn't have much white at all. Last season it had more white. Right, my paddock didn't do what I hoped it was going to do this season, which was get up really high. These dahlias, particularly these purple ones, these are Winky Cavaliers, they normally would be as tall as me, or almost as tall as me. And I'm 5 foot, which is tiny, but that's tall for a plant. I deadheaded down here. Actually, I deadheaded the whole thing yesterday, and there's not much left. I had to cut off a lot of flowers that were no good. Luckily, there's some more buds here that are opening. I hope they'll be open by tomorrow enough. Yeah, I don't know. So at least I can take something to market on the weekend. The plan for the dahlias now is I'm thinking I'm actually going to dig up some and actually sort of thin them out a little bit so they're not so close. I want to dig up a lot of these purple ones, so I'll have some tubercales. There's also a white one called Joy Burkett that I can sell a lot of those as well. The other plan is there's some which are really, really good that I don't have that much of. For example, come with me for a walk just down here. This one's actually got up, this one here's got up quite tall. Well, tall for this paddock, and this is beautiful. So there's not a huge amount of these plants. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe there's about 10 or 11. I think I'll dig up a handful and then divide those ones. So there's ones in here that I'd like some more of that I'll dig and divide to replace some that I've got way too many of. That's the plan. And then something needs to be done about all these weeds in here. That should be fun. Fun winter. So thanks for coming around my flower patch with me and just having a looking at it as it starts to shut down, although all those things have gone into spring, so it doesn't really stop. It's a bit sad that we won't have dahlias for quite a while, so I can mourn my dahlias, but all good things must come to an end, I guess. I just wanted to say thank you. When I started doing this YouTube thing, I didn't even think people would really watch, to be honest, and so it's nice to have views, people actually interested in flowers and gardening and flower farming. We've just hit 200 subscribers, which I didn't even occur to me, honestly, that people would actually subscribe. So thank you, I'm really flattered. And obviously some people out there are interested in what I'm doing. So thank you. And have a good weekend. We're sort of back into a bit of homeschooling and the Easter holidays are finished, so we'll do this market on the weekend, and I'm going to go over and start digging where those peonies were and start those garden beds. So I'm going to have a very sore back after all that, but that's okay. And then I'll be able to put tulips in soon and daffodils, and then the excitement and hope and waiting for spring will happen. So thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you next time.